Welcome back to one of the Best Football Plays YouTube channel. Today is Saturday, February 15th, and I'm back bringing out some more plays for the Saturday slate of games. I promised a lot of games, and I got a lot of games. I think 13. Couldn't decide. There's just so much basketball tomorrow that I love. 3 player props for sure. I think maybe it's 11 games. I don't know. We got a lot of plays to talk about. Before we do that, St. Louis is on currently. 17-13 in their favor right now. Jimerson with 2 made threes, 2 of 2 from deep in the first 5 minutes. Just try to pull up 3 on a fast break. He was feeling it a little bit and came up short. So would have loved to hit that player prop in the first 6 or 7 minutes of the game. But 17-13, pretty good start here for St. Louis. Looking to go 2-0 on the day. Just need one more 3 out of Jimerson for him to hit the over on the total threes there. But let's go take a look at the plays for Saturday. And of course, we are going to be starting with the number 1 team in the country going up against the number 2 team in country, Alabama, going up against Auburn. I'm going to side with Alabama in this game. It's very clear this season for Alabama they got to reach 80-plus points to win some games because their defense this season has been really bad. They're one of the worst defense. I shouldn't say one of the worst. They're towards the bottom this season in college basketball on the defensive side. They really need to figure that out come March Madness time. But Alabama has 3 losses this season. They scored 78 against Purdue pretty early in the year. They scored 81 against Oregon, and they scored 64 against Ole Miss. So if they don't score 81-plus points, they lose the game. Every other game this season, besides one game, they've scored 80-plus points in those wins. The one win was against McNeese State, 72-64 very early in the year. For Auburn, they're kind of slipping, and I say that with respect because kind of slipping for Auburn is losing by 9 points to Florida, but they didn't really necessarily play very well going up against Vanderbilt. Had that hot start. Vanderbilt stayed in the game the entire time, actually leading in that game in the second half, and then Auburn just flexed their muscles a little bit in the final 8 or 10 minutes of that game and came in with a double-digit win. But I think Alabama has what it takes in this game to beat Auburn. I think they can score more efficiently. They just got to get a couple stops on that side of the ball, and really Auburn's been killing themselves offensively with turnovers recently. So I'm going to take Alabama here on the money line. I like them at home as the first play of the day. Second play, we have Michigan State going up against Illinois. Michigan State, I said it after the USC game. Some of these teams are just ranked in the top 25 to be ranked in the top 25 because of their name, like Purdue, which I still think Purdue is not a very good team, and they're now in the top 10. But Michigan State, I don't think they're that good of a team. They've lost 3 of the last 4 games. USC, UCLA, we were on UCLA. And they have lost in Indiana. They have 1 win against Oregon, another top 25 team at the time. I said Oregon really not a top 25 team. They're just getting a lot of wins against bad opponents. Illinois, this is a team that's very good. Illinois now out of the top 25, but they've routed off back-to-back wins. Last win against UCLA. They get the job done here against Michigan State. They're going to be minus 5.5 at home. I'm taking them minus 5.5 as the play. Next play, Houston going up against Arizona. Houston, another team that usually is very dominant in college basketball. They're once again dominant this season. The number 6 ranked team in the country. They've won 3 in a row. They lost to Texas Tech at home in an overtime thriller without JT Toppin in that game for Texas Tech. But Houston is in trouble in this game. Arizona was coming into that game against Kansas State as one of the hottest teams in the country. It was heat on heat with Kansas State. Kansas State is just at a different level right now. I still think Arizona playing some really good basketball. Caleb Love is a dangerous rubber band out there. You have no idea what he's going to do at any point in the game. He can make a 50-foot shot to send this team into overtime like he did against Iowa State, or he can miss a 2-foot layup and go 1 of 40 from the field like he's done a couple times already this season. So Caleb Love will probably be the difference maker in this game. I'm going to take him as a player prop, but I like this Arizona team coming off of a loss. I'm going to take them here on the money line at home as the play. Next play, we're going to be looking at Virginia going up against Virginia Tech. Both these teams are terrible. There's no really way around it. They're both terrible, but Virginia is by far the worst team in this matchup. Virginia lost to Virginia Tech the first time, 75-74. I don't think it's going to be 75 points this time for Virginia. I got them sitting at 60. This is just a team that can't score any points. Virginia Tech's been decent at scoring this season, over 70 per game, but Virginia, if they don't shut their teams down, if they don't give up just 60 points, 65 points, every single night, they're going to lose the game. If Virginia Tech scored 75 points in 3 of the last 4 meetings against Virginia, they obviously have figured out that defense of Virginia. I'm taking Virginia Tech here. I'm going to take them on the money line. They are minus 1.5 right now. Just give me them on the money line as the play. And for the final play of the day, let's respect the troops here. Army going up against Navy. Navy somehow gets the win the last time out going up against Army. Both of these teams on the season haven't been very good, but Army is a team who can score a bunch of points. They're not very good defensively, but they're putting up a lot of points this season, and they just came off a 116-point game going up against Bucknell in overtime. I saw somebody made a tweet. It was like, why do we need all this spending on defense whenever we're scoring 116 points per game on the basketball court? Thought it was pretty funny, but they've had three wins in a row now. They lost to Navy the first time, 65-53, mainly because Navy played a little bit of bully ball down low, which I don't think is going to happen in this game. They had a guy go for 20 and 20 in that game. I think Army's going to come out and get the win this time. It does help that these teams have already played this season in a rivalry matchup like this. Typically, we see the other team win unless it's Virginia Tech going up against Virginia, which I think Virginia Tech will sweep. I think this time Army's the better team. They probably shouldn't have lost the first game. I don't think they're going to lose this game. Going to take Army here on the money line as the fifth play as well. We have several other plays to look at. These are the plays I put on the graphic because I'm the most confident in them. But let's go to the player props, and then we're going to go to all the other game picks for Saturday. And I know people, you guys who have been on this channel, Trey Johnson, he was on the list, right? He was on the list for, 4 or 5 weeks. He's back off the list. You got to take this guy, especially whenever he's at home going up against another team this season in Kentucky that doesn't know how to defend anybody. He's coming off a 24-point game. Trey Johnson, he's one of the best freshmen in the country this season, 19.5 points, maybe 20.5 points we might get this at, but he's going to have another thriller of a game going up against Kentucky. They're going to need him in this game to I don't even think it's an upset. I think Texas might be the favorite. Let's see, Texas, Kentucky. Texas is the favorite, -1.5. This is just going to be a great game. You need your best players to show up in big time games. Texas at home this season, they've been very good. They ran into Alabama in their last home game. There's nothing you can do going up against Alabama when they're making their shots. 103 points scored in that game. Texas on the season has been a pretty decent defense, but Alabama's just a different breed. 24 points in the last game at home for Trey Johnson. He had 25 points two home games ago for Texas. This kid's just going to score a bunch of points, and I'm pretty sure he had 17 in the first game going up against Alabama the last time out. So I'm going to take him here over 20.5 points as the first player prop of the day. Second player prop, Braden Smith of Purdue. Hate Purdue. Going to take Purdue tomorrow going up against Wisconsin, but Braden Smith, he's been stellar. And really, it's just a two-man wrecking crew now for Purdue. Lawyers kind of fallen off a cliff over the last several games. It's been Kaufman and Smith leading the charge for the Purdue Boilermakers. 21 shots in the last game going up against Michigan, 24 points. He slipped in a really bad game against USC, but he scored 20-plus points in 4 of the last 5 games. I'd like that to continue in this game going up against Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin will double-team Kaufman Wren. That's going to leave Brandon Smith on the outside to knock down threes, knock down some mid-range jumpers. I think he will do that in this game. So we're on Braden Smith, second play of the day for the player prop. And excuse the language here. I said this kind of about Josh Allen, how they win games in the playoffs. Arizona needs Caleb Love to do some fuck shit, and that's just the term I use for whenever a player just has to go out there and play with reckless abandonment and just shoot everything that he sees and just play with his gut, not with his brain. Caleb Love, really a guy who probably doesn't play with his brain at all. But in this game, we need him to just play with his gut and just turn the head off. He needs to shoot 20-plus times in this game going up against Houston. I would love to see him make 3 or 4 threes in this game for Arizona. But you don't beat teams like Houston with one of your best players putting up 6 or 7 points. That's what we saw in the last game going up against Kansas State, and they lost that game because of that. But he still shot 15 times. 15-plus shot attempts for Caleb Love is the new normal for him. Every single team he goes to, North Carolina a couple years ago, Arizona this year, and last year, 15-plus shots is the normal for Caleb Love. So I love the shot production. We just need him to make some shots. He's shooting below 40% on this season. I'm sure a lot of Arizona fans don't really necessarily love Caleb Love. I like him for the player props here. I just because he shoots a ton of shots. Houston's a very good defensive team. We're probably going to get a discount on the number as well. So 14.5 is my guess for his player prop tomorrow. Love to play there. Just turn off the brain, Caleb, and go play some basketball. Play like I know you can, and we'll be cashing that one for the third player prop of the day. Let's go to the recap graphic and all the other plays. We have a ton of plays to look at. We're going to start with Mississippi State going up against Ole Miss. I'm taking Ole Miss -4.5. Mississippi State has not been playing good basketball. Some of their best players are just sleepwalking right now. Hubbard has been, he's been okay, but he hasn't been special like we saw against Missouri, like we saw against Alabama. He's just sleepwalking a little bit. 20 points or less in back-to-back games going up against Florida and Georgia. Mississippi State goes in these massive slumps of not scoring any points. And I think that once again will hurt them in this game. Ole Miss is coming off 3 consecutive wins. Kentucky, LSU, South Carolina, they play great defense. They are one of the teams that let Alabama score less than 80 points, gave up 64 in that game in that win. So this is a very dangerous team, especially at home. I'll take Ole Miss here with that defense, minus 4.5 as the play. Next play today, we're going to go Washington going up against Penn State. I know when a team is given up, and that is the definition of what Penn State is right now in college basketball. Since January 5th, they took a loss to Indiana. They have lost every single game but one, and that was at home going up against Rutgers, winning that game by 8. They have lost every single game besides that one. They were competitive against Oregon, against Michigan State, against Iowa, against Michigan, and then Ohio State came. And that was the game that they had to turn everything around. It was at home against Ohio State. If you win the game, you're still talking about for March Madness. If you lose the game, you're out of the tournament. They lost that game. Then they lost to Minnesota. Then they lost to UCLA. Then they lost to USC. This is a team who is not trying anymore. They lost by 25 points to USC in their last game. Washington, not a good team by any means whatsoever, but they are still fighting, winning 2 of the last 4 games they've played, and I'll take them with the points, plus 6.5 as the play. Next play, Villanova going up against Providence. I hate Villanova. I hate Kyle Neptune. I think Kyle Neptune's one of the worst coaches in college basketball, but I love the dunk, and I love Providence here on the money line. They've lost 4 consecutive games. Last one was against Seton Hall back in January. They just came off a loss to Xavier, 91-82. This team can put up a lot of points. You have to stop Eric Dixon in this game. If they do that, they have a very good chance to win this one. Make Wooga Poplar beat you. He has done it before. He might do it again in this game, but with the home crowd at the dunk in Providence, give me them on the money line. Villanova coming off of a massive win against St. John's. Huge letdown spot here. Give me Providence on the money line. Next play, revenge game. Middle Tennessee going up against Western Kentucky. Middle Tennessee take care of business against Western Kentucky by 14 points in the first game. Not this time. Western Kentucky is a pretty good team. They can score a lot of points. I think they dominate Middle Tennessee in this one. I'll take them on the money line. I think they're minus 1.5 or minus 2.5 right now, but I will take them on the money line as the play. Finally, no, not finally. Yes, finally, last play. St. Mary's going up against Washington State. Washington State, new to the conference, kind of getting bullied a little bit. I think they're 4-5 or 5-4 in this conference. St. Mary's, Gonzaga, all these teams. San Francisco's been decent this season, but St. Mary's once again kind of dominating this conference. 18-3 now on the season, but we're getting 14.5 points. I'm going to take that every single time. Washington State, the first time they played St. Mary's, they were leading the majority of the game. St. Mary's just in the second half, defensively and offensively, outscored them 45-37. But the good news is Washington State scored 38 and 37 in both those halves. They found a way to score against St. Mary's. So if you're giving me 70-plus points going up against the Gales and giving me 14.5 points as well, that means St. Mary's has to score 85 points in this game. I just don't see that happening. I'm going to take Washington State here with the points, plus 14.5. Finally, let's do all the plays for tomorrow. We have Bama, money line against Auburn. Illinois, minus 5.5, going up against Michigan State. Arizona, money line going up against Houston. VTech kills Virginia, money line. Army, revenge on Navy. Army, money line. Ole Miss, minus 4.5 against Mississippi State. Washington, plus 6.5. Penn State has given up. Providence, money line. Huge letdown spot for Villanova in the dunk. Texas, money line against Kentucky. They get the big win that they need at home. Purdue, minus 5.5. Did I talk about that game? I don't think I did, but Purdue, minus 5.5 going up against Wisconsin. I don't dislike Wisconsin. I absolutely hate Purdue, but I'm not going to just throw away money with Purdue at home. Purdue at home has been really good this season. The defense has been spectacular at home. I still don't think they're a very good team, but at home, laying 5.5, I don't think Wisconsin's that good. I'll take Purdue minus 5.5. Q's plus 6.5, another game I don't think I talked about. North Carolina is not a good team. They got to go on the road to play Syracuse. Typically, those games are high scoring and decently close. I'll take the Q's with the points. West Kentucky, we did talk about that. Money line in the revenge game going up against Middle Tennessee, and Washington State with the points going up against St. Mary's. I think St. Mary's has to score 83, 84 points to cover that number. I just don't think that happens for that Gales offense. Finally, Trey Johnson over 19.5 points. I'll call it against Kentucky. Braden Smith over his total points going up against Wisconsin. Then Caleb Love over his total points going up against Houston. We need Caleb Love. I'm not going to say it again, but we need him to just turn off the brain, shoot 20 times, and just play basketball. That's what we need Caleb Love to do. Please don't shoot 30% from the field like you've done in the last couple of games. But he is a good player. He can score 20-plus points. We need him to score 20-plus points in this game going up against Houston for Arizona to get that win. Guys, that's going to do it for the NCAA basketball picks and props for Saturday, February 15th slate of games. If you guys enjoyed the content, please share to like this video and subscribe to the channel below. See you guys next video, and thanks for watching.